Bene. Members of the Forum and great delegates. The transatlantic slave trafficking was launched by an apostolic edict of Pope Nicholas V on June 18, 1452, declaring total war on African people. The Africans that were trafficked across the Atlantic were therefore prisoners of war who were enslaved and almost completely cut off from their ancestral identity. Today, the African ancestry DNA test enables their descendants to identify which people in Africa they come from, which territory they were taken from, and which language and culture they lost. For the first time in human history, a people are recovering from 9 or more generations of state-sanctioned ethnocide. This is a miracle. This ethnocide committed by European colonial powers and their successor states is a crime against humanity that has no statute of limitations and has not been punished nor repaired. How come none of the European nations that held the Asiento monopoly contract with the Catholic Church have been brought before the International Court of Justice, punished, and forced to pay reparations? In the latter half of 1964, Malcolm X attempted to bring such a human rights and reparations case against the United States into the World Court, but within months he was assassinated. The Geneva Convention says that prisoners of war remain so until their final release and repatriation. The Durban Declaration under Section 6 recommends the facilitation of the right of return of the descendants of enslaved Africans and urges all states to facilitate all appropriate legal procedures and free legal assistance. Towards that end, and to wrap this up, we call on this forum to vigorously request an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice to substantiate our status as prisoners of war under the Geneva Convention, as well as our right to conduct plebiscites for self-determination, including the right to secede from the jurisdictions of colonial successor states in the Western Hemisphere and form our own independent governments. This was a right recognized by President Lincoln's administration until he was assassinated and the 14th Amendment imposed U.S. citizenship against the will and without the consent of the newly emancipated free people of African descent. We need the access to the ICJ as a first step in our justice and rematriation to our ancestral motherland. Bene.